Hi, this is Craig with the Springfield Muni, and I am surrounded tonight with just an incredible group of talented people that I can't wait to introduce you to. But first, I wanted to say that we have Peter Pan opening our Muni season come May 31st. So it's an early Muni season this year, and we're excited to get the summer kicked off, and thanking Springfield Clinic for sponsoring the Muni's Peter Pan this upcoming summer, which will run May 31st through June 2nd. And then we'll take a couple of nights off and we'll run again from June 5th to June 9th. But just thank you, all of you, for joining us this evening, and we are excited to talk to some of the former Peter Pans and Wendy's from past productions at the Muni. This is the 7th time that we are going to be putting this on the Muni stage. So what I'd like to do is to have the people that are present here with us tonight introduce yourself and just say which production of Peter Pan you were part of and what you played.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Fleishley. I played Peter in 1984 and 2001.
I'm Nana Meisenbacher, and I played Wendy in 2001, and I played Peter Pan in 2013, and I am the current choreographer for the upcoming show.
I'm Cece Donathan, and I'm going to be Wendy in this year's production of Peter Pan.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Rudd, and I was an Indian in the 2007 production, and I played Wendy in the 2013 production.
My name is Devin Lemming, and I am currently playing Peter Pan in the upcoming season of the production.
Hello, my name is Asni Bigasa, and I played Peter Pan in 2007.
So I think where we should start is just what are your favorite memories of your production of Peter Pan, and maybe what brought you to wanting to be in that production of Peter Pan? What about the story brings you to the story? So I'll start with you, Carolyn.
I think 1984 was the first time Peter Pan had been done at Muni. And so, I was young. I was excited. I really wanted to be Peter. And Tom Shrewsbury luckily cast me, and it was absolutely the thrill of a lifetime because Flying by Foy actually got to fly me, and that is who flew Mary Martin. Oh. And it was the first time it had ever been done outside. It was just, this was a big deal for Springfield and this production. So 1984 came around, and I thought, 2001 came around, and I thought, I had a little boy at that time, he was 4. And I thought, Mary Martin was 77 when she did it, so I could probably do it again. So, it was intense training, but luckily Phil Funkenbush cast me again as Peter. And I can't even tell you one specific memory because it's just being part of Peter Pan. Everybody's kind of nodding their heads. It's just being part of Peter Pan, that you're just part of something that's been around forever.
Yeah, it's such a special story. So when you say that it was the first time performed, or you flew outdoors, that was like nationwide.
Nationwide,
right?
yeah. Flying by Foy had never flown and had the flying system outside. Muni Opera was the first one.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm sure we will talk a lot about flying, right? For sure. Let's skip around the table a little bit. Lindsay, talk to me a little bit about your favorite memories from your Peter Pan.
I feel like I have to say that my favorite memory was getting engaged during a rehearsal. Otherwise, my husband might hurt me.
You had a great engagement photographer.
I did have a great engagement photographer, but actually that whole moment was just amazing because Anna is probably my favorite part of the whole engagement process. But my mom we were rehearsing at Sacred Heart Griffin, and my mom was in the light booth. I didn't see her, but my dad and my brother and my fiance then at the time were all in the show as Lost Boys and Pirates. So everyone was there, and then it had been kind of like a stressful rehearsal. It was getting close to Tech Week, and Bill Bowser was our vocal director, and we were rehearsing the part where Wendy gets hit with the arrow, and she's asleep and her eyes are closed, and
no one told me it was happening!
So all of a sudden we're Peter's supposed to be checking on Wendy, and Bill Bowser goes, "Anna, move!" And she's like, "What now?" We didn't know, and neither one of us knew that DJ was supposed to be standing there proposing to me. And as soon as she realized, she was like, "Oh!" And then it was great. It was a wonderful memory, and Craig caught it all on film, and it was wonderful. So, but also, I think just the closing night, flying away as Jane at the time, but I like get choked up about it every time. But that last moment with Peter and Jane flying off to Neverland is like my favorite moment of the show.
Absolutely. And now you get to bring your son for the first time to see Peter Pan, much like you were saying, you had a little boy in 2001, and now you have a little boy that you get to bring.
I know. I'm so excited.
Really exciting stuff.
Yeah, my little boy had a Peter Pan themed nursery. That's how much I love the show.
Anna, why don't you give us some of your memories from your multiple productions of Peter Pan?
Yeah, so I think maybe what encouraged me to audition was like the very first time I ever auditioned for Muni. Phil was directing a show that year, and I wasn't in the show that he did. He was doing Gypsy at the time, and I was in Meet Me in St. Louis, but I was called back, and I just loved him from the moment he did callbacks. So he was always one of those people in my mind that I was like, I want to do something with this person at some point in time. And when Peter Pan came around in 2001, I was 16, and it was just, I don't know, I was at that right age, and Phil Funkenbush was directing it, and I was like, that's what I need to do. That's what I need to be in. And I think my favorite part of Peter Pan is just every single time Wendy and Peter are on stage together. I mean, I don't know how many rehearsals you and I just spent, you, me, and Phil, and just that closeness you get with that other person is so special to me, both with you and Lindsay. And I don't know, it's just a relationship you don't typically develop on a stage in a community theater production, just because you are working so hard with one other person. And yeah, it's just this bond that you get. And I remember Ed McMurdo in the pit the last night you and I were doing our goodbye scene, filming it and crying the whole time, and you and I crying on stage the entire time. And it just, I don't know, it's something about those feelings that you get, which is why, yeah, every time it comes around, you're just drawn to it. Because I think last time it was done at Muni was a huge Muni season. It was Les Mis and Rent, both shows that I'm at some point in time were dying to do on the Muni stage, and it was like, well, I can't because I need to try out for Peter. So yeah, I don't know what it is. I really think it's the Peter-Wendy relationship that just is so important to me. That those are the fondest memories I have are my times on stage with the two of them. Yeah.
Do you feel like playing Wendy before you played Peter, did that influence how you played Peter?
100%, for sure. I mean, we used to meet outside of Carolyn's work, and
we would just run that first scene constantly.
Over
You're
and
telling
over.
the story.
Yeah.
I mean, you lay it all out, and we had such a bond. It was really great.
Yeah. And I mean, like Avery, he was my little buddy at that point in time, because anytime I was off stage, he would come and like sit with me. And yeah, I mean, we used to meet on our lunch hours all the time and just run it to make sure that we had it the exact way we did it. And she was a huge influence on how I eventually played Peter, because how could it not be? It was ingrained in my mind how she had done it. And
these kids that come, they really think you can fly. I mean, my 4-year-old, he was amazed that I could fly.
He probably wanted to fly with you,
and
right?
Today he's 21 and he still thinks I can fly.
Which you'll be flying later on this summer, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
That's okay.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. So, Osni, let's go to you and talk about your experience as Peter and maybe some memories that you have from your production.
Yeah, I felt like such a rock star as Peter Pan. There is something about that role that every kid, the audiences are huge generally for that show, unless it's raining. And the kids just love you so much. And there's that, when you rescue Tinkerbell from certain death and everybody goes wild, it's just like, it was like nothing I'd ever experienced. And Peter Pan was the role that finally got me comfortable in my body, like moving, using my whole body to act, and not just from the shoulders up, which was really revelatory for me. And it stuck with me for probably 2 years after, I just thought Peter Pan was the best show ever. I will never do another show like that. You know, other shows come along, but Peter Pan definitely has a place in my heart, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Peter and Wendy thing too. It's such a strong connection.
Yeah.
It's really crazy.
Yeah.
It's magical.
Absolutely. So now we go to our newbies. And Cece, I saw you looking a little bit nervous when they were talking about how important that Wendy and Peter connection is, right? But you don't have to be nervous because you're wonderful. I've seen you on stage so many times. Everyone at this table is immensely talented, and I love seeing all of you perform. But talk to me a bit about what you're the most excited for your production of Peter Pan coming up in just a couple of weeks. And also, you can talk about your memories from 2013, too.
Sure. Well, they all kind of touched on it, but I went home after the first rehearsal and said to my parents, I said, Devin and I are going to get ourselves into trouble because we just laughed the whole rehearsal. Like, I mean, we just can't help ourselves. And so, like, immediately, I mean, I feel like even after callbacks, like, we just, like, kind of clicked. And so it's already fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was evident, too. I mean, like, just being on the other side of the table at that point in time, I mean, you could tell, like, their immediate connection even just during, like, a callback read, so.
And really, you need that in a show, right?
It
Because
comes across.
that
It really does.
that really plays to the audience. And then, if you think about the amount of time that we spend together rehearsing, somewhere in the area of 5 to 8 weeks, you know, you really need to bond really quickly. And seeing you both in rehearsals, you can definitely tell that that's going on for sure. And I'm excited to see it all the way through as well. Devin, let's talk to you.
Sure.
What are you the most excited about?
Oh, the entire production as a whole, but specifically, being the first male to portray Peter Pan is a big thing. And like Carolyn said, you know, it was big to fly Peter Pan outdoors, and so that was a big thing for the Springfield area. And so I think it'll be another big thing to have a male casted in the role. I'm also very excited to reel the kids in. That's going to be my favorite part. I'm already in love with the cast already. The Lost Boys are perfect, and Michael and John, and I'm just excited to make my own little memory of the production.
Were you surprised that you were called back for Peter and then ultimately cast?
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, I obviously knew, you know, women are typically casted in the role, so it wasn't even in my head that I would get the role. And on my drive home, as I'm from Decatur, I was like, there's no way. They called me back, they wanted to see me, that means a lot, but there's no way. And then I got that call, and it was life-changing.
Yeah. So
It
this
took
is
a
your
minute to
first.
settle.
This is your first Muni show in
It is.
general. So
Yeah.
what are you excited about going out to the site? I mean, have you attended Muni productions before and all of that?
I have. I saw Jekyll and Hyde.
I was in that.
Yes.
Yeah, you were. Oh my gosh. And then I saw West Side Story. And both of those productions, outstanding.
Yeah.
And I knew then I wanted to be a part of it. It took me a couple years to gain the courage, but I went for it this time and it paid off.
Absolutely. And you know, it's interesting because I was talking with someone at rehearsals recently, and I was like, you know, you can take a male version of Peter Pan in a lot of different directions.
Oh, yeah.
And what's interesting to you is that my Peter Pan growing up was Robin Williams, because Hook was my Peter Pan, and that's what I relate to the most. And that story of Peter almost already growing up and not knowing that he's grown up, I kind of get that a little bit of that sense in the way that you're portraying Peter Pan, and I think that's a very interesting take on it. I don't know if that's what you're going for necessarily, but it's definitely something that comes, you know, to mind for me. This whole idea of the boy that will never grow up, but he's starting to a little bit, and so it's really cool to see you portray that role, and I think it's just gonna blow the house out for sure. So let's talk a bit about some suggestions for these two, and any tips and tricks that you might have. And let's start with flying, because flying is a whole lot of fun. Now, I distinctly remember in 2013, Anna, you had bruises up and down your entire body from that harness and from that flying, but it looks so cool when you're up there doing it. So do the bruises just kind of fall away, or is that just sort of collateral damage to what you're doing, or do you have some tips on flying?
I mean, I think when you're in the moment and you're doing it, you're not even thinking about the pain that's coming along with it. Yeah, I mean, like in the show, you're way too busy to even be worried about it at all. I mean, I remember a couple of times, like, you know, during Crow, like rolling back and hitting like the metal plate on my back and be like, that doesn't feel great. But yeah, no, I mean, I got pretty badly bruised, but it's one of those things that it doesn't matter, you know, it hurts, but it's so fun in the time that it's like,
You need to invest in a good pair of bike shorts.
a good pair of bike shorts. I actually wore our flight director's son's former pair of like leg football
pads.
pants.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I was like, I look like a linebacker in my costume.
Peter had hips.
But I didn't care because it felt so much better. Yeah, it's one of those things that it's, and not only that, but like you're concerned about making sure you're hitting your mark, and you're concerned about making sure that, you know, everything is set up exactly how it needs to be, because flying is such like a huge timing and choreography thing. And
I was flown right into the pirate ship.
100%. I definitely was flown into.
I still have a scar.
Yep, into
On the
the. I was flown into the fireplace at one point in time. Thank you, Mark Vance, whichever camera that is up and running. It was only once, but you know, it just takes so much finesse and practice.
But you can't do anything about the timing.
No.
That's all on the crew.
Yeah.
That was going to be my tip, was like get to know your flight crew, get to, like bring them treats, anything, because like your life is in their hands to an extent. Like we one night before rehearsal watched like Peter Pan Fails, where they like hooked Wendy up to Peter's cord, and so the dun 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 dun, and they pull the cord, and Wendy comes shooting out of bed, and it's supposed to be Peter going through, and you're like, so love them.
The best entrance in the world, I mean, hands down, I don't
absolutely
know, is when Peter comes through that window. I mean, da 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 da, those windows open up and out you shoot. And you expect that, and it was the Wednesday night dress rehearsal, and you're crouched literally below the window, and you're back there with your hooker, that's what we call it, the hooker that hooks you in, and you're like, you're good to go. And I'm standing there, and I know Wendy's in bed, Anna's in bed, and so are the boys, and I hear dun dun dun, and the windows came up, and I'm ready to go, and I didn't go anywhere. But I hear this crash off stage. They pulled Wendy's cord, and she wasn't hooked at the time, thank goodness. Otherwise, she would have flown out of bed. It was, and he fell, and I was like, I just kind of stood up and walked over the window, because I'm like, okay, should I keep going? I mean, but we had to stop, and he was really hurt. So it can happen. Get to know your flight crew, and you know what the thing is? You hit the fire. You hit the pirate
ship.
You hit the fireplace. I landed on a rocking horse, but you know what? You go with it. You just kind of, I rocked, I got off, and I picked up because people would, and every single thing, and every now and then there were things on stage. There was this little scooter thing, and it kind of started to fall over, and I grabbed it and I rode it. I mean, you just get so involved in the moment, and you really do think, you can fly. It's you'll love it. Flying is awesome.
That's the part I'm looking forward to the most, is finally getting out there and being able to work with the set and figuring out,
absolutely.
what I
like
can.
Flying is fun.
I think it's when you said like you were bruised or whatever, like it doesn't matter, because it is such a magical thing to like do that dun da da and like throw the fairy and have everyone just, you hear like all those kids go It's like, that's what you do it for, and it is, it's magical.
I'm excited.
So you tried to become a pirate?
I had horizontal momentum, and I didn't have any vertical lift until the last moment. And so I had a nice big gash on my shin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Wow. Well, the role stayed with you.
Sure did.
Your
Still there.
entire life.
Yep.
Your entire life.
when that set moves away from you and, you know, we're doing the I'm flying and the nursery's gone and it's just the starry backdrop, you're like, yep, this is it. Here we go. And you're like, you are like, I'm in Neverland. This is just the best.
But it's always like 10 seconds of holding your breath.
Yeah,
like,
get the nursery up.
Is it gonna make it off? Is it gonna make it off? Oh god! Yes, it did. Thank you, crew.
Oh man.
All
Oh my
flies
gosh,
by
crew is so
quickly.
important.
It feels
in
like the
show.
show's about 20 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you get started, it's like, and we're here, and we're gone, and we're done. Bye.
Yeah. Well, it's 3 acts, but it goes by so quickly.
so
You know,
quick.
because the first act is really just in the nursery and establishing that story of what Peter Pan is and who Peter Pan is, and then you get the second act where you get to have a lot of that interaction between the warriors and between the Lost Boys and the pirates, and then you close out on the pirate ship, and then of course going back to the nursery. So it's it is a really quick show for being 3 acts long, and kids just absolutely love it. So talk about some of those interactions that you had with children.
So I mean, it's just like seeing the magic in their eyes, and just like the belief, and you know that when Peter's like, if you clap if you believe in fairies, you know that they are all like, yes, absolutely. How could you not believe in fairies? Like, we see it, and so it's just like that's why you do it. It's just the total utter belief that they have and excitement and love.
Absolutely. The Muni has done this production 7 times for a reason, and that's because there's always a new generation of kids that get to come out to the Muni to experience this. I'm bringing my son for the first time. It's going to be really exciting to see his reactions. You have your son that you're bringing for the first time, and so it's just it's really cool that we get to have these experiences every 6 or 7 years or so, because it really just brings that magic to kids in a way that not a lot of other shows do, and so it's a really neat experience all around. And Gil's back as a pirate. He's back.
I wanted to be a pirate.
Yeah.
I did, I really did.
We have a couple of lady pirates this production.
Lady pirates.
They are doing so great.
But you know, there's a line at the when they're on the pirate ship where he says, you know, not with a woman aboard, because you're not supposed to have a woman aboard the pirate ship because that's bad luck. And that's when the cock-a-doodle-doo comes and everything. But I think that's great. Because
We do. We have lady pirates.
That's
we have
awesome.
girl
Girls,
lost boys.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have a male Peter
And
Pan.
a male Peter Pan.
Changing it up. It's 2019.
Yeah. Some pretty incredible people's shoes to fill, so I can't wait to do that. And I mean, I think we've talked about how magical it is for kids, but I think it's equally as magical for like any age, because it's all about being a kid. And so everyone should come see it.
Well, just thank you all for joining us, and we've got several decades of Muni represented here, and we have all these just amazing parts that all of you have played over the years, and it's people like you that provide this amazing art for audiences, and that's why people love coming out to Muni, part of that summer atmosphere and really a family tradition throughout. So I would encourage you that if you've never stepped foot out to Muni, that you come out this summer and join us, especially for Peter Pan as we open the season, but then also we have all 4 of our shows represented at this table. We've got Evita coming up. We have Evita coming up. We have Thoroughly Modern Millie, which is a Muni debut for us, and then we close out the season with another family favorite, The Wizard of Oz. So we are so looking forward to this upcoming season, and just thank you all for joining us. Now, I don't know if you'll go with me here, but you're all actors, so I'm sure that you will. So I think we have to crow towards the end, right? We have to give our best crow together. So are you ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you all so much for joining us, and thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more about Peter Pan as we draw closer to opening night.